What is going on, guys? And in today's video we're going to be talking about, is the Black Ops pass for Black Ops 4 worth it? Now specifically I'm going to be talking about zombies, not so much the multiplayer, but I'm going to go over the zombie maps that are included in the season pass for Black Ops 4, known as the Black Ops pass. Now I actually missed out on getting it around release. I was very skeptical of it, didn't hear too good things, and I'll be honest, I didn't really enjoy the base game too much of zombies, and I waited till it went down in price, and eventually I got a really good deal on it, so I didn't actually pay full price, and we'll be going over that later if it's worth the full price. But at the moment I just want to rate the maps itself, and off the bat I'll just say that I'm genuinely very surprised. I'm very surprised with how much I'm enjoying them. I had low expectations and they are actually far better than I thought, and it just goes to show that they obviously didn't really market it very well, because it is a lot more fun than it comes across as when you look at it. And yeah, the trailers didn't do anything for me either. It didn't make me want to get it, but yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised. Now obviously reviews are subjective and these are just my opinions, so you may have a different opinion, you may have different tastes to me. So just off the bat, if we go by on what I do like and what I don't like on the base game, maybe that can give you a better indication of whether you may agree with me and whether you can use this as a good indicator to get it or not. So I'm just going to start off with the base game maps of zombies, and I'm going to start off with Voyage of Despair. Did not like this map at all. If I had to rate it out of 10, that'd be probably a 5 out of 10. It was a very mediocre map. Just didn't really have a decent flow to it. Felt a bit generic, and it just, for some reason, it's hard to put my finger on it, but it just didn't really have that typical Treyarch zombie charm to it, and I definitely think it's the worst map on the game. But then we have 9, and 9 is actually a decent map. It's a good map, a very solid map. I'd say it's probably an 8 out of 10 map, I'd say, maybe a 7 out of 10. It's hard to say. It's definitely not amazing. It's not like the best, you know, I wouldn't regard it as like a classic map, you know, like some of the legendary maps of previous Treyarch zombie games, but it's definitely a decent map. And yeah, it's nowhere near as good as, say, like Mob of the Dead or Kino the Toten, Moon, Eisendruck, you know, those like the greatest hits kind of maps. It's definitely not up there. I mean, you could probably say a lot of the Black Ops 1 maps were better than all maps, really. But yeah, but 9 is a solid map. Had a good flow to it. I think the actual map design was brilliant. That was the best thing about it. And I also liked the process of pack-a-punching. It was nice and simple. And something I don't like as a zombie player is something I don't like too much about the new zombie maps, since really Black Ops 3 and Black Ops 4 zombies, is this big shopping list of chores where you're just running around the map with one zombie left, looking for parts to build. That stuff becomes tedious to me. For example, Zetsubu no Shima was a great map in terms of map design and atmosphere, but it was ruined by how tedious it was to pack a punch, how tedious it was to get parts and build a wonder weapon, and that's what I didn't like. And what I loved about 9 is that it stripped away that, and it made it quite casual, easy to pick up and play. So 9 is definitely the best base game map. Blood of the Dead, this may split opinion. Now, you may strongly disagree with this, but I didn't like it. And I thought it was a pretty average map, and hugely disappointing, to be honest. And it set the tone for me with Black Ops 4 Zombies. That really, the fact that I didn't enjoy that at all really put me off Black Ops 4 Zombies in general, and that's kind of why I skipped on the season pass originally. But Blood of the Dead is probably a 6 out of 10 for me, because the new additions just felt unnecessary. Now, I loved the fact that they remastered it and built upon it and made the island bigger, definitely. But it just felt like, and maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but it felt like that the new additions were almost thrown in last minute, and it just felt tacked on. It didn't feel like a meaningful part of the map. It didn't really have, and it made the whole map not really have a good flow to it, because the beginning area was cool, it was a new addition, but it was just awkward to then get to the main prison, and then once you're in the prison you never really had any reason to return to the starting area. And then you got the warden's house, that was sort of almost like a gimmicky area, like it just didn't even really have that much purpose apart from the Hell's Retriever being there, but it just ruined the flow of the map a little bit. And it also, I find, a big make or break for a map is also the process of pack-a-punching. I think that you don't want something too complicated, but you don't want something too generic to pack-a-punch in the modern day of zombies. And I definitely think that Blood of the Dead, the process of pack-a-punching was incredibly boring and uncreative, uninspiring. It was simply just build a shield, catch a few zombie souls, that's it. I know the original format, the Mob of the Dead, pack-a-punching was really fun a few times you did it, and then it got quite tedious because it was the same step over and over again where you had to do the different errands. But it was just a lot more creative and fun, and they also took you to the Golden Gate Bridge, which they removed. And I just think, Blood of the Dead was not that fun. But I've rambled on for long enough. Let's get stuck into the actual Black Ops parts. So let's start off with Classified, the remake of 5. Now, it's quite similar. It's very, very similar, to be honest. There's a couple little new rooms, new additions, which was nice. I liked that. But really, overall, it's a very, very similar map. More of a straight-up remake with a few new additions. The Pack-a-Punch is a little bit more annoying than it used to be, because you now have to run around and collect parts. Common theme of Black Ops 4 Zombies, which is kind of annoying. But it's a good map. It's a solid map, and I've really enjoyed the original 5. So I'm happy to see it. And it's, to be honest though, it is a real shame that it was held behind the season pass, because I think it should have been a launch map as well. It's quite a casual map, a map for new players to get into and casual players to get into. So it's a shame, but yeah, I'd rate this a 7 out of 10. So the first actual DLC pack, the first DLC, Dead of the Night. Now this map, I don't know if you've played Black Ops 3, but this map reminds me of Zetsubou no Shima because of some factors that I'm going to explain. Now, Dead of the Night is a fantastic map in terms of design. Brilliant map. The atmosphere is excellent. I love the theme of like a mansion. Interior is really nice, really posh. It's got this kind of old school sort of like Victorian theme, and the overall kind of mansion is kind of like this gothic theme in Britain. You run out and all of a sudden you're in like a graveyard, you're in like a forest, and it's got this very kind of Halloween gothic kind of spooky vibe to it with zombies, and I love that. It fits so well, and the atmosphere is brilliant, but also the map design itself is excellent. It flows brilliantly, everything kind of connects well, it's not too confusing. I mean, it is at first because there's a lot of areas that look sort of similar, but it does loop around nicely, and it's very claustrophobic and narrow, so it's actually a very challenging map, and it has that kind of Verruct style in terms of just the core map design, and very tight corners, very narrow, and it all sort of loops around into the middle. You also start on the map where two players are split from each other, so there's one half of the map and the other half, and you can only connect once you basically turn on the power. But with the Chaos maps, it's actually collecting an artifact, so I like that, and it does the actual core map design reminds me of Verruct, and I love it, and it's challenging because of it. And you can't really naturally train anywhere. You have to just sort of constantly run around the map and kind of keep moving and traversing, and I love that. I think that's brilliant map design. But what lets this map down massively is the fact that it's the content. Look, just like Zetsubou no Shima, Zetsubou no Shima had brilliant map design and atmosphere, but the content was terrible. And it's exactly the same with Dead of the Night, that how you have to do things, how you obtain things is incredibly tedious, and it hurts this map. It does let it down, because the Pack-a-Punch process is horrible and it's very tedious, just like Zetsubu. However, it's not as bad because the map's not as big, so you don't have to run around as much. But essentially what it is that you're looking for these crystals, and let's be real here, I mean, I had to look up a guide, I had to read up on a guide. You're never really going to figure it out, unless you're, you know, a very, very hardcore player. So I had to look it up, and essentially you're running around looking for these crystals, and then you have to do these tasks. One of them's collect souls at a perk machine, one of them's collect souls, or not collect souls, but it's basically you have to defend a certain area, so you have to defend the clock area, and then you have to defend the perk machine area. And then the other one is that this ghost escorts you around the map. And it's just very tedious having to do that. I liked it at first a couple of times, because it was like, okay, I'm looking for things and I'm running around, but it's not casual friendly, and it's one of those maps that's not easy to jump into and pick up and play because of that. And that unfortunately does ruin it. The boss zombies I actually like, because it adds a new challenge. I did see some complaints, but I actually really like the boss zombies. I think that it increases the difficulty of the map, and it's great. It makes it a challenge, it spices it up, it makes it different from just killing normal zombies, so I like that. But it's, unfortunately, there's so many parts to collect, it's overwhelming, and it's just too much. And it's really unfortunate, because the core map itself is phenomenal. It honestly is. I think in terms of the map design, it's the best map on the game. In terms of the content, it massively lets it down. So, you know, for me, I would sort of linger around a 9 if it wasn't for that, but because of that, it brings it down to an 8 out of 10. But nevertheless, it is still a very good map, and a very enjoyable map. You just have to bear in mind that there are some tedious natures to the map. Now, the second map, Ancient Evil, this one's actually quite a difficult one to review, because it's actually a very good map. The actual core design of the map, you've basically got half the map which goes downhill, and you lead to this area at the bottom, and you basically have to collect a few parts, and eventually you pick up this artifact, and it activates this falcon thing that picks you up, and it takes you to another part of the map, which is where the Pack-a-Punch is. And there's a task with eagles that you have to do to activate the Pack-a-Punch, and it's a good idea, and it's not actually that hard to do either. But it's also not that interesting. It was interesting the first few times, and it was definitely really cool to actually be taken. It kind of like the dragon cutscene on Gorod Krovi and Black Ops 3. You're taken on this eagle, and it takes you to a completely different area of the map, and it's quite a fairly decent sized area as well, so it's actually really cool, and it's not even tedious at all to do either. The theme of the map is this ancient Greek sort of like temple, like this lost city. Basically, it's like this hidden city underground, kind of like buried, I guess, but it's like this ancient Greek town, and it directly follows on from the 9 theme and 9 sort of storyline with the same characters, and yeah, it's actually a really good map, but the theme never really captivated me that much, even though the theme's actually very well done. It captures ancient Greece very well, and it's very well done, but it just didn't really appeal to me that much in terms of the theme. And I think a theme and atmosphere of a zombies map is huge, I think, in my opinion. It gives it that extra magic, and that's essentially what other COD zombie games were lacking, in my opinion, was an interesting theme, and that's something that Treyarch have always nailed. And yeah, essentially the theme of this map's actually good, but for me personally, it didn't really capture me that much, and because of that, this is a map that I really enjoyed. When I played it quite a lot, I really enjoyed it at first, but over time I got bored of it very quickly, and I never really came back to it. And maybe it's a map that is a good map, fundamentally a very good map, and there's a lot to do on it, but maybe just the theme, and there's something about it that just didn't hook me in a way where I was addicted to it. And I would say this is easily an 8 out of 10 in terms of quality, but I just think that there's elements of the map that are not interesting enough for it to be an 8 out of 10. So in my opinion, I think it's a 7 out of 10, and that's probably going to be disagreed by lots of people that enjoy that map, because it's definitely a good map. It is a very good map. It's just something that didn't pull me in to keep playing, essentially. So for me, 7 out of 10. So the third DLC pack is Nuketown Zombies, so Alpha Omega. Now this is actually a map that I've always wanted. Ever since Black Ops 2, when they made Nuketown Zombies, I've always wanted them to expand on that. Like for years, I even used to play custom zombie maps that did so. Of course, as you would expect, being a AAA studio, they've done a much bigger and better job than the custom zombie Nuketown maps. And I've always wanted Treyarch to add that underground bunker, and yeah, in this map they've done that so well. But the lack of perks, interesting perks, which is obviously a problem across all Black Ops 4 zombies, it does let this map in particular down a little bit, because the fact that the original Black Ops 2 Nuketown Zombies and even the custom zombie maps had interesting perks like Jug and Speed Color, and you lose that a little bit with this map. But the good thing about this map is you start off in like a housing estate, and you progress through, and eventually you end up in the main Nuketown map that you know. Then you eventually work into the bunkers, and it goes underground, and it's done really well. Pack-a-Punch in is actually not so bad at all, apart from it's a bit annoying that it takes ages to wind this cog, and there's always zombies chasing you, so that's a little bit annoying, but it's not hard to do, and it's also very obvious as well where you need to activate these valves. Is because there's green smoke coming out of the building, so you know where it is, and that's not a problem. A little bit annoying that it resets, but the Pack-a-Punch process is fine. And yeah, they done the bunker very well, and they done the little housing estate very well. But the only disappointment I have is that you inevitably end up always going back to the middle part of basically the part of the original Nuketown Zombies map, because it's the easiest area to train. So eventually, once you've got everything you need, the map ends up just feeling like the original Black Ops 2 Zombies map, and it gets a bit boring. And it feels like there's not enough depth to the map and not enough to do on the map. There's Galvanuckles that return also, which is a great addition. It's good to see that back. But I was just hoping there was a little bit more depth to the map. I was hoping there was a little bit more areas as well, maybe secret areas and places you have to unlock. That would be better, because yeah, it's done very well, and it's actually a really good map, but I feel like it just needed a little bit more to make it that extra interesting to come back to. But it's definitely a solid map, and I'm glad it exists. I'm glad it exists because it deserves it, because for years I've always wanted a Nuketown map that was big and had underground bunkers. So yeah, it's a little bit disappointing that it didn't have a little bit more depth to it, but it's overall still a good map, and I'm happy it's here, and I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Now the last map, tagged the Toten, is a remake of Call of the Dead, and this one's actually quite a difficult one to talk about. It's a difficult one to rate, because it was a great map back in the day. It was a great map, and they've remade it and added a few new areas, and I think that the new areas are quite cool. They're kind of cool. There's a secret lab that you can go to that I really like, and you can also buy the last perk there and activate the golden Pack-a-Punch, so I like that. essentially a bit like Ancient Evil, where it takes you to a completely new place, and there's the final perk. The actual overall map is pretty decent, and to be honest, the original map was, as I said, amazing. So this map doesn't really add anything interesting to it, and the biggest criticisms I have is the fact that they got rid of George Romeo, which, don't get me wrong, George Romeo was annoying, but if you're going to get rid of such a big boss zombie, surely you have to replace him with another type of boss zombie, and they haven't done that. And my problem with George Romeo originally was that I felt that once you kill him once, I think he should have been gone. That's what I wish, but I didn't mind him existing in walking around and being annoying, because you could deal with him. It was just the fact that he kept coming back. The fact that this doesn't have a boss zombie kind of takes away from what the original was, so it's actually worse in ways than the original because of that. And also with the special rounds, just like in the Blood of the Dead remake, just like in the 5 remake, just like in the Nuketown Zombies remake, you guessed it, zombie dogs again. And I just think that's a little bit lazy, because you can get away with it with Blood of the Dead. It was the first time they've done it, the first time they brought them in on Black Ops 4 Zombies, so I thought, okay, fine. Classified, the 5 remake, I thought, okay, you know, this is a small map, a little bit disappointing because I used to have the Pentagon Thief again, was annoying, but thought, okay, dogs, fine. In Nuketown Zombies, I didn't have an issue with that because of the fact that there's so much that they did for that map that throwing in zombie dogs wasn't a problem, and it kind of fit the theme anyway of the map, so I didn't mind. But this being the final map, I think it was disappointing that they didn't add anything different in zombie dogs. I thought it was lazy, because when you remove George Romeo as the boss, and in the special rounds they're nothing special, it's just zombie dogs that are extremely easy to kill that you've thrown in there, it's taken away from the map a little, and actually in a way a worse map. I don't like the colour scheme in the map either. I preferred the old look where it was quite dark and hard to see, and there was like snowstorms that would come in that would make visibility difficult. I liked that, and they've got rid of that, and it's gone with this sort of pinkish sky with this sort of sunset feel, and it's taken away the horror aspect of the map a little bit. So I think that in a way that this map's actually worse than Call of the Dead in some ways, but then in other ways obviously you've remade it and you've expanded upon it a little bit, so it's actually brilliant at the same time. But it's a very disappointing map, and it honestly makes this really difficult to actually rate, because Nuketown Zombies is a deserved 7 out of 10, and it was a good remake, and it was a deserved remake. It was something that needed an actual complete remake, you know, with added new areas, and I think that it added enough for it to feel like a worthy addition, a new kind of map, so I didn't mind that. But for this, the last map, to be another remake where they haven't really added too much to it. Pack-a-Punch is different and not too hard, although after a few times it does become tedious and boring, the process of it, so it loses its replay value a little bit. But here's the thing, with Nuketown Zombies, it expanded upon so much, but I don't feel like this Call of the Dead remake tagged to Toten has actually added enough. So it's for me, it's sort of like somewhere between a 6.5 and a 7. I'd probably say it's a 7, a generous 7, just because the overall map plays well. It does play well, and it's a decent map. It's just a very disappointing map, and yeah, you can still have fun with it, and I especially think that if you're someone who's never played the original, then you will have fun with this map. But for this to be the final DLC pack, and for this to basically just be a remake, a remaster, sorry, with a couple new areas, it's not like Nuketown Zombies that was massively a remake because it was expanded upon. I just think that it's disappointing, but I'll give it a 7. So there we have it. That is the Black Ops Pass for Zombies review. So is it worth it overall? I'd say it depends. It depends on what you're looking for, and it depends on how you feel about Black Ops 4 Zombies. I think that all the maps are good. I think the actual quality of the maps in Black Ops, the Black Ops Pass, are good quality maps. So on that front, it is worth it in a way. But the underlying problem, and where it loses its replay value, and where I've just become very bored of Black Ops 4 Zombies, is the underlying problems of the fact that the perk system is terrible, and it's taken away what Zombies was about. Being able to customize your perks is not what the game's about. It's supposed to be about having perks on each map with their own jingles. You don't have that anymore. The perks on the map should make you feel powerful. They should significantly improve you, but they don't, and they're just forgettable perks. And that was such a huge pillar of Zombies. It was a big process of the starting rounds. It was like getting your perks was so important because you almost needed them. Now you don't really. And I just think that the fact that you've got this specialist ability just given to you rather than you having to earn it or buy it, and just the whole creator class system kind of just ruined Zombies a little bit and made it kind of boring and repetitive, and it's just lost a little bit of that magic it used to have because of it. So if you feel that way, if you feel that it was boring before the Black Ops Pass, I don't know if this is going to change your opinion. But if you enjoy Black Ops 4 Zombies and you're looking for more maps, or if you're someone who didn't so much enjoy it but you want to try out the new maps, you're getting good quality maps here. But they're not enough to fix the problems that Black Ops 4 Zombies has. So for me, in my opinion, I'd say that it's not worth full price because of that reason. But it's definitely worth for half price. It's worth it for half price. And they are genuinely decent maps, with Dead of the Night being the best one. Right now it's on sale for 50% off, so £20 in the UK. And I actually got it even cheaper if you're going on eBay and buying the Black Ops 4 Pro Edition, and you basically get the game and the season pass and a few little zombie posters and things like that, but you get the season pass code with it, and I managed to get it for £15. So I actually get a whole game and the season pass for that price. I already had Black Ops, so basically I've just given away Black Ops 4 for free, and I just wanted the code. So there are other ways to get it cheaper, but when it's on the store for £40, no, it's not worth it. If you can get it for cheaper than that, yes, it's worth it. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next video.